morning, everyone, and welcome to the Alertus virtual seminar. My name is Jessica Bridgman, and I'm the events manager at Alertus Technologies. And I'm here with my coworker, Vincent Busher, the marketing coordinator at Alertus Technologies, and we will be your moderators for today's virtual seminar. I want to start out by saying thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for this seminar. Today's topic is mass notification tools and strategies from preparation to recovery, setting your organization up for success in 2020. We will be conducting 5 different sessions during our seminar today from 10:30 to 3:30 Eastern Central Standard Time. These sessions will include interactive discussions that will provide you with more details on each presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them during the webinar at any time, and they will be addressed during the Q&A portion at the end of each presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you after today's session. If you have any questions following the seminar, please email marketing@alertus.com. We will be breaking for lunch at 12:05 and we'll start the second half of the seminar promptly at 1 p.m. Our first session today will feature a virtual site walkthrough to help you better identify emergency notification gaps. Our presenter for this session is Justin Smit. Justin Smit is an implementation manager for Alertus Technologies. In this role, he oversees implementation, ensures customer satisfaction through follow-ups, evaluates clients' needs in the initial scope of projects, determines project plans, and schedules and performs training. Justin brings 12 years of consulting experience to Alertus. In his previous 5-year role in federal consulting, he led requirement analysis and IT software implementation work stream efforts for an electronic application management project utilized by the federal staff of over 5,000. Justin also has 4 years of experience providing federal and university-affiliated clients with organization design and change management consulting. Now, without further ado, Justin Smit.
Great, thank you, Jessica. And give me a second, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. Okay. All right, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today as well, too. As Jessica mentioned, I am an implementation manager with Alertus Technologies, and I've had the pleasure over the past several years working with our customers, both in the implementation process and also specifically in terms of this topic in particular, working with them in the pre-installation process as well, too, and helping to scope out their projects. So I've had a chance to work with customers with a variety of backgrounds from a variety of industries as well, too. So I will try to keep this at a high level today, but I'm also going to be cognizant of the fact that we also have a variety of customers who have different environments, different organization structures, and different needs as well too. So I'm going to try to provide you all with a comprehensive approach this morning as well. So let's go ahead and begin. The first thing that I wanted to, that's very important prior to even doing a site survey, is we need to understand what factors are impacting our organization's needs for a mass notification system. And at a high level, they're going to come from 2 different ways. Either you have external factors which are driving the need for a mass notification system, either a new one, an integration, or an enhancement to an existing one. But we also have internal factors as well that are local, that are organization needs that are driving the need for this new mass notification system. And I wanted to list out some of the internal factors that our customers have experienced in the past as well too. Number one, usually it's some sort of a leadership directive that also ties into some of the bullet points below that leadership directive. Is it an existing weakness or a known challenge that the organization has seen for a period of time? Is this in response to a local incident, whether it's at your organization, whether it has impacted your local community, or it could even be an event that has occurred on a national or national level that drives the need for you all to be prepared in the event that this might happen at your organization as well too. Also understanding system needs as well too. We have a variety of customers as well too that when they reach out to Alertus, they've actually already have a mass notification system need in place. They identify a gap that currently exists with their mass notification system, and they're looking for an enhancement or improvement to their system. Also, emergency notification. What exactly are they looking to do? Is it do they want a facility-based solution, or is this a user-based? You have a lot of users that typically are mobile. They're on the go, and a facility-based notification might not meet your organization's needs. Indoor versus outdoor. What sort of coverage do we want to provide at your local facility as well too? That's going to play a role in terms of how you want to scope out a site survey. And then we're looking for redundancy as well too. We want to provide multiple nodes of mass notification communication out to your stakeholders as well too. So maybe audio-based hardware won't suffice. Maybe we're looking to provide some sort of complement to it too, and so you all can utilize new features, or you all can tie into your existing hardware and software as well too to provide multiple nodes of communication in the event of an emergency as well. And then finally, understand too, how do we want to be able to activate this mass notification system solution too? Do we want to do a mass notification? Does the organization have multiple facilities spread across the country or even across the world? And we want to have that targeted capabilities in place as well too. All of these internal factors are really going to, if you all can spend time discussing and coming up with just some initial decision points on how you want the system to look, is really going to help set up a very successful site survey process as well. And then what we would also, and you all know better as well too, but what sort of project resources will you all have at a high level, financial as well as personnel? That's going to potentially enhance or limit the scope of the project, but we want to make sure, especially from a financial is ambiguous up front, at the very least what we want to know too is what sort of like personnel resources do we have, because I've worked with a myriad of customers, and what I think they realized early on in the site survey process is very important, not only to get the business sponsors or your leadership involved early on, but also to any sort of mass notification system will have impacts to your information technology departments. If you have organization security, they will be involved, and your facility members, your facility staff will be involved as well too. So it's important to get them involved early on, especially before you all go out and do the site survey, because they may they may need to sign off or have key decision points in regards to the site survey, but also too, you want to get them on board as well, because they're going to play significant roles in terms of ultimately the implementation of your mass notification system as you move throughout the process as well. So we have the internal factors, and real quickly I wanted to talk to you about the external factors. We have customers that do come to us, and they say, we need to put in a mass notification system, and that's driven by some sort of an external force, usually by the government, whether it's federal or local and state laws. I've listed out several different pieces of legislation that our customers do bring up in the pre-sales process with us as well. So I just want to let you all know that these are drivers. And then the only other consideration that I do want to make up as well too is be cognizant of any sort of local, state, or municipal laws that may impact your solution, especially when it comes to the installation of devices as well. Just a couple of examples too. I know that there are certain laws that come into place whenever you all are going to do an installation of potentially like a high-powered audio system that might impact not just your organization, but the communities in which you are a part of as well too. And so those drivers are in place, and I say it's critical in terms of being able to manage any challenges or pressure points early on, if you all do understand those external factors that may come into play with any sort of a mass notification installation that you have early on. So with that said, those are at a high level. Just make sure that you all can do as detailed of a job understanding both your internal and external factors in the pre-site survey process, and that will help mitigate any sort of like risks or challenges as you're going to see as you all move along the site survey process. So we still haven't gotten to the site survey yet, but I do want to talk about some of preparation tips that I would have just in terms of what I've seen with my customers over the past several years as well too. First off, define your scope. If you can, what are your solution needs? Identify your impacted facilities, and also to what sort of specific needs does each facility have. Also identify your stakeholder groups. We talked earlier about not just your leadership, but also you have other impacted departments within your organization as well too. Information technology will play a huge role in any sort of mass notification system process. So you want to get them involved and engaged early on. Facilities, if you all do a facility-based mass notification solution, facilities will need to get involved as well too in the process. So make sure that you gather them, gather those the stakeholder groups early on, and they're part of the site survey process. Understand your needs as best as you possibly can. What sort of specific services are needed for your new and enhanced solution? Now you're going to be able to have external members such as like the Alertus team as well to help you all out. But make sure if you don't know the product, the end product, make sure that at a high level you understand what you need. Do we need to have some sort of an audio notification system? Is this a visual system that we need to have? Do we need to have multiple nodes of mass notification communication in the event of an emergency? Gather all that information up in the pre-site survey process. And then also prepare your survey materials. And this is looking further ahead as well too, especially for like larger projects that I've seen at Alertus. Make sure you understand what sort of deliverables need to be an output of the site survey process and to which stakeholders as well too, because you all may have some sort of executive documentation that needs to go up to organization leadership, but you all also may need to prepare documentation that's going to help out with the sales process as well. So what sort of data do we need to push forward to our to help out with the sales process and procuring hardware, procuring a solution. Then also too, do we need to deliver any sort of documentation to our IT teams, to our facilities team? So early on, if you all can capture that, not only capture what data you're going to need to gather in the site survey process, but also understand who needs to receive and analyze that data as well too. You all can build out those processes early on, and it's going to save you all time post-site survey because you all have already stood up the processes and you know how to efficiently get that data over to the various stakeholders in this project as well. Also understand the site survey goals as well too, and understand our local needs as well. I just touched on the data points as well as the business processes. Another big thing, understand your local culture when we actually go out into site surveys. What I've encountered as well too is there's, depending upon how centralized or decentralized the organization is, you can walk from building to building, and there may be different emergency incident response programs in place depending upon even the facility if it's decentralized. So when you all do that site survey, I recommend talk to local staff. Obviously, you don't want to make any sort of commitments whatsoever, but what you're doing is you're getting an understanding and feel for how those individuals are going to respond in the event of an emergency, and always try to seek out who is the de facto leader at that facility too. In terms of in the event of an emergency, how do they respond as well? Just the one example, I've worked with a customer in the past as well too. They have a fire panel solution at their organization. There are 25 different buildings in place too. The fire panels all have enunciating capabilities. There's a mic box with their fire panel module as well too. And so what they've done is they've established local team captains to basically take over the audio at each individual facility in the event of an emergency as well too. So they have local specific people in place in every single building to handle an emergency incident. And that's something where if you all want to centralize it, you're going to need to come up with some sort of a migration, not only a migration plan, but also figure out a way to tie in potentially existing systems as well too. The big thing when we're doing site surveys, gather data, document existing software, document possible hardware integrations, and also document proposed hardware locations and network closets. In terms of doing when the site survey, it should be a current state analysis as well. We're not only looking at possible places where we can add software and hardware, but what we're looking at as well too is what can we leverage that you all currently have to be able to broadcast emergency mass notifications. Case in point, like Alertus, we do have a desktop client a service as well too. So what you all can do is you all can utilize existing computers across your facility to be able to take over those computer screens for notification. Not only that as well too, but we have, digital signage capabilities. You all probably have, I mentioned earlier, like existing fire panels, existing public announcement systems. Document all that information as well too, because what we can do is come up with a solution where we're integrating mostly with your existing infrastructure, and that ultimately will hopefully save you all installation time and also finances as well too. So we're not just looking for new opportunities. However, what you all will do during the site surveys, you may identify areas where we don't have any coverage right now from an emergency mass notification perspective, and we do need to go into various areas and add software or hardware. So at that point, it does help if you all have understanding of potential products that you all want to purchase, but at the very least, what you all do want to do is you all want to go in there and identify areas of weakness, and what sort of weaknesses do you all see? Is it, we do not have an existing audio system that we can tie in to broadcast emergency notifications. Also, we don't have any sort of audio coverage out in our parking lots or out in common areas, like in central areas of our facilities as well too. Is it the fact that we don't have any sort of duress buttons at key entry points or in financial aid, or maybe our organization offers counseling as well too? We just don't have the ability for our staff to be able to very quickly send a notification over to either our organization's security or safety or local law enforcement as well too, and that's an area of weakness and need that we really want to enhance, but we just don't know what to do. So just document all those sorts of needs, because the good thing is you can always rely on bringing in Alertus as well too to make recommendations for what you all can do to meet those needs as well. But that should be a critical part of the site survey process. Also, network closets, and this is getting back into collaborating with various stakeholders in your organization as well too. Depending upon the type of solution that you all would like to deploy at your organization as well too, IT is going to play a heavy role. So, for our larger projects that we see Alertus as well too, this is when we need to have some sort of a network capacity analysis done as well too. If we're looking at installing X number of hardware devices, what's that going to do to our existing network as well? Can we currently support it, or are we going to need to add additional network infrastructure to help support this new emergency management system? This is all part of the pre installation process, or even securing additional hardware equipment. This should be done early on in the site survey. And the good thing as well too is when you're doing that site survey, if you can engage as many people as possible, and this is going back to your facilities, your information technology team, if you can engage them on, you can get this information through the walkthroughs that you all can conduct, and that way you don't have to worry about going back and forth multiple times gathering that data as well too. And then finally, the preparation of survey materials. So after you all have walked a facility and you all have either said, you know what, we want to purchase speakers in X number of buildings, or we like to purchase alert beacons, or we need to purchase duress buttons to meet these various needs in our various facilities. How are we going to document this information? And then how are we going to be able to analyze it and then distribute it out to the appropriate parties? What are our project deliverables if it's a larger project of that particular size as well? So all this information you all want to make a consideration for. But then at that point, what you're going to do is after that site survey is over, you've captured the data, and then at that point, you're going to be pushing really preparing documentation that will push the data over to the various members, either within your organization or outside of your organization, whether you're engaging with like Alertus or even installation vendors that will be doing hardware installations as well too. And then this goes into the output as well. Just talked about this too. So you've got just different stakeholders that are involved post-site survey. Again, it's just identifying the deliverables, also the different types, project management as well. You may need to close your project, develop a installation project charter, define the scope of what that what the mass notification solution will look like. Also, there's sales responsibilities. So on the deliver side, you're looking at inventory counts. What do you all need to purchase? How do you all work on establishing the purchase orders? If you're doing hardware, what's a labor contract? All this information, you're pushing the data out to various stakeholders, both internal and external. And then finally, installation management as well too. Being forward-looking. If you all are doing a hardware-based solution, this is when annotated floor plans come into become real handy as well. And if you all can capture that during the site survey process, and actually let me go back to a graphic on this page right here. If you notice in the bottom right-hand corner, the nice thing is I've seen people bring out physical paper floor plans. The nice thing is, well, too, from a technology perspective, there are applications right now that you all can utilize, and if you all just bring a tablet out, you all can actually document that as you're walking through, so you don't have to worry about physically writing information down onto a piece of paper and then transferring it over to a spreadsheet and then automating some sort of report as well too. This all can be done with various site survey applications. Alertus Technologies, we actually utilize a vendor right now as well too, and so we're actually able to manage not only just the site survey process, but the application that we have as well too. It will allow us to work with our customers to manage the installation and also provide critical documentation and reports post-installation as well too. So we have those capabilities here at Alertus. We can certainly provide you all advice as well too, just in terms of how to manage it. And there are also some applications as well that your facilities, your IT team may be utilizing as well too to help document this information as well. Okay. And I wrapped up 5-6 minutes early. So at this point, does anyone have any questions? I'd be happy to address any questions that you all might have.
Okay.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, like Justin said, we're going to begin the Q&A section of this session. So if you have a question about Justin's presentation or site walkthroughs in general, please feel free to submit them through the chat or question box. And then once those come in, I can read them out loud, and Justin will do his best to answer your question. And if there are any questions that we don't get to, we will reach out to you directly with an answer. So let's see here. So one of the first questions that we had come in for Justin: what are the biggest challenges customers experience during the site survey?
I would say the biggest challenges or the pain points that our customers experience early on is I think understanding it really is just engaging really their internal resources or their internal contacts. So yeah, I talked quite a bit about the pre-installation or the pre-site survey process in here. And I think it's critical to, like, number one, make sure that whoever is the business sponsor, that you have an ally in leadership that's going to make this mass notification solution a priority, because you all will be reaching out to other members in your organization, and what might be a top priority for you in terms of mass notification, maybe a third or fourth priority for them as well too. So it's really reaching out, making sure that you have a backer if needed, and then also engaging the various stakeholders. This is going back to your information technologies team as well as your facilities team to help out in the process. Hopefully, like during this presentation, you all saw that when you all are walking various facilities, you're going to need to gather specific data, not just from like local leaders in that potential facility, but also from those who manage those facilities as well too. So oftentimes, like your information technology or your facilities members, they're going to have that critical information in place. It's going to help you all come up with help you all to find that solution on the back end. So the sooner you can get them involved, the better. And also another case in point as well too, it may be difficult as well too to get understanding for all of the factors that might come into place for or limitations that come in place for a mass notification solution. But oftentimes, like those people that manage facilities or information technologies, they've got a good understanding because they've done similar projects too. It could be installing an audio visual system that doesn't immediately support that mass notification project, but they have experience implementing solutions in there or having to deal with external organizations who may have external organizations that may impact that project as well. And that's going back to federal, state, or local laws.
All right, great, Justin. Next question here. What software are you using to document device locations during a walkthrough?
Oh, good question. So Alertus Technologies, what we use right now, we've been utilizing System Surveyor. You can go to systemsurveyor.com. They have been, it's been very helpful. What we have done over the past year and a half with our project management services is we've gone from relying on this is one of our older approaches as well too. But what we would do is we would go out on site, we would use basically like a legal notepad, make our notes in terms of what we would recommend in terms of Alertus hardware and software. We would go back to our hotels at night. We would transfer that data from the legal notepad into an Excel spreadsheet, Word documents, and then what we would do is we would push that, we would analyze that information and then prepare customers utilizing like Adobe Acrobat, other different applications that we have to prepare reports. System Surveyor, what we've been able to do now, we've been able to cut down, and this is something that all of our customers can utilize as well too. We're able to cut down on the number of hours it takes documenting data, analyzing it, and then distributing it out to our customers. So System Surveyor, what it allows you all to do is to upload floor plans, they call them surveys, and then what you all can do is you can mark them up. You can put, they call them elements, but you can put hardware notifications and audio notifications in there as well too. And then you also can manage that information from the pre-installation process into installation, and you all can also share that information with internal and external stakeholders as well too. So if you all do bring in Alertus for project management support, or you do bring in an installer for the actual installation itself, you can share that information, and those external stakeholders can actually update those surveys as well too in real time. So you all can constantly share and collaborate that information throughout. So that's what we currently utilize.
Okay. Our next question: what density or spacing do you recommend for beacons in a typical deployment?
Density or spacing. Okay, so so number one in Vincent, if we can somehow get, I know it'll be tough, we can get clarification on this. I want to make sure I answer this appropriately. So number one, so the first driver that we see in terms of alert beacons themselves, number one, make sure that they are ADA compliant. That's the number one thing that I discuss with our customers. So usually what that means is the devices are installed 48 inches from the base. So the base of the alert beacon is installed 48 inches from the ground as well too. That's the number one driver. I have had a couple of customers who installed alert beacons in the past. This is like 5-10 years ago, and they were not ADA compliant, and then they had to go back in and move the alert beacons down to meet ADA compliancy. So that's number one. In terms of the positioning of the alert beacons from a spacing perspective, a lot of that is driven by gaps. Two things. Number one is gap in coverage. And then number two are the alert beacons supporting some sort of a peripheral device as well too. Usually when our customers purchase alert beacons, there is some sort of they're serving as a conduit to some other device, whether it's the whether it's Alertus products or it's connecting to an existing third-party system as well too. So then at that point, what we're looking at is making sure that typically they're within X number of feet. I'm sorry, it's vague, but it depends upon the devices that we have. If it's an Alertus it's an Alertus device, usually it's going to be within 100 feet of that peripheral device. And so be cognizant of that. Outside of that, then, from a spacing perspective, then you're looking at, if you want to have like an alert beacon heavy solution that might not be supporting, that's going to be like the primary means of providing audio and visual text. Then at that point, what you're looking at doing is spacing it out. And if it's an open space, you're looking at, putting them within, I would say, 150 to 100 meters of each other as well too. So I apologize, it's a difficult question to answer because there are a lot of variables that are in place as well, but we would be happy to discuss in further depth if you have an idea of how you would like to deploy the Alertus solution, or in particular, what sort of audio visual needs you need for a mass notification solution.
Okay, awesome, Justin. Here's another question. What about surveys for multiple locations? We currently have 165 locations and continuing to grow.
Okay, so surveys for multiple locations, 165 facilities. So what I have seen from customers, Alertus customers of similar size, if you have an organization that is as large as that, usually our customers, or our new customers, will come on board, and they come on board a couple of different ways. Number one, they're going to look first for some sort of a software-based emergency mass notification solution. And the good thing is that the good thing with that is it's I'm going to say that it's easier in terms of time and finances to be able to stand up a software-based emergency notification solution as opposed to hardware-based. So we see that, and then also what I see from larger customers, and if they've established a need where they need to purchase Alertus hardware as well too, usually what happens is they're going to do some sort of a hardware-based proof of concept, where they are going to identify anywhere from, I would say, 1 to, I've even seen it as high of 10 different facilities to install hardware initially. And what they're going to do is they're going to get a feel and understanding for how the hardware works, and then think about scaling it up at a later time as well too. Now, the variable in terms of number of facilities that are part of the proof of concept as well too, it depends. Usually what drives the number of facilities are the different types of buildings that you all might have. And when I say that, you may have like your just your corporate building that has a lot of just a staff that just do day-to-day operations. Maybe you all have distribution centers. You all may have a facilities building in each location as well too. Just different types of buildings. You're going to want to get a feel for how those hardware products interact or provide emergency notification out to those specific types of buildings that you all have. So once they establish that proof of concept, I've seen anywhere from like a 2-month proof of concept to a year, where they get a feel for how that works, and then at that point the organization decides that we do want to make a significant hardware investment. A significant investment in hardware emergency mass notification throughout all of our facilities as well too. And then they go from developing a plan that's going to, instead of impacting like 1 to 10 buildings for a proof of concept, then at that point it impacts 165 facilities across the state, country, world.
Okay, awesome, Justin. And that also looks like that is the last question that popped up for you. So we really appreciate you coming on today and taking time out to present and give us a lot of informative information on the walkthroughs and surveys. So I'm going to hand over the presentation controls to our next speaker and allow Jessica to intro her.